The last thing you want to be doing is being in a parking lot at Winchell's, waiting for your side piece to get off her shift because your wife is a monster. The reality is there are some horrible stories out there about guys choosing the wrong women, or worse, even um, being married, having an affair with your friend's wife, and then ultimately marrying this woman that you're having an affair with, right? And then you wonder why you get into the problems that you get into, right? It's because of decisions like that. And a lot of guys sell themselves short, don't appreciate or understand their value, or unfortunately, they follow their father's footsteps, marrying baby mothers, um, purchasing a used vehicle rather than a brand new vehicle, metaphorically. Or, like I said, sabotaging their life because they want some excitement and they forget that some of these short term trysts are not suitable or sustainable in the long term and will cause you a lot of heartache financially, psychologically, in many ways. Um, the thing you got to think about too is, where are you looking for these women? Where are you putting yourself, right, in a position to find someone long term? A lot of times you go into these dive bars, right? Not even bars, right? Dive bars. And then you wonder why you're getting some low quality women, right? The type of women you don't want to marry, right? The type of women you don't want to spend a lot of time with. But I think a lot of guys miss that point. They don't realize the importance of looking for someone in a in a very in a high quality environment, in an environment, in a space, in a place that's conducive to something long term. One of the biggest decisions you can make as a man is who you decide to marry and ultimately have children with. So if you go the route of looking for some cheap dopamine, right, of being lazy, of not choosing the right woman, you could end up in a Winchell's parking lot waiting for your side piece, or marry um, your friend's, wife. It sounds crazy to think, right? But there's guys that do these kind of things. I know these type of dudes. Not that I spend time with them, but you know, there are people that I know about, and it's crazy to think that someone would make that kind of decision, right? Because this is a life decision, right? Who you end up having children with is a decision that will influence and impact your life. The other thing you have to consider is that who you end up marrying, um, ultimately, you have to think about the values, right? The values that you have and that the other person has. And unfortunately, what ends up happening with a lot of guys that don't date, um, in terms of the volume, is you need to be able to test yourself, right, amongst different women. You need to speak to different women because there's little things you can pick up along the way. And I think a guy that doesn't have that experience will end up choosing the wrong person. And this is what happens, unfortunately, with a lot of good looking guys, is they've never had a developed game, right? And so they end up falling for a lot of easy tricks and then pay the price later on. My father being an example of someone who fell for someone that wasn't necessarily good for him in the long run, right? He did not have the same values as him. So, for example, if you're a person that values family, you want to start a business, um, you want someone traditional that values home cooking. These things are very important, and they're not something you can be flexible about. You can't fumble these ideas. You say them out loud, and you voice those opinions, and your knees shouldn't buckle if the person or if the woman that you're speaking to is not so convinced by these ideas. You need to run away, sprint if you need to. You don't try to negotiate and see if things will work out in the future, because like I said, if those are non-negotiables for you, right? For me, definitely, right? You can't mess around with that stuff, because like I said, you end up in a situation where you can't get out of, and you're in big trouble, right? You end up with a party girl and you think she's somehow going to settle down. And like I said, sometimes a lot of guys fall into the trap of thinking that they can somehow change this person or make them different, or maybe over time they will adapt to my liking. And maybe so. Maybe some of you think you got it like that, think that you can find a way to change her. Be my guest. But I can almost guarantee you that many of the guys that I know, that I've known, that have run the risk of going out with these type of women end up paying a tremendous price, one that is just not worth, right? So if you can avoid it, if you can dodge some of these monster women, it'll be better for you. And the thing is too is unfortunately a lot of guys, they end up having this feeling that they're operating from a place of deficit, right? Not abundance. And so what ends up happening is that you feel as if you don't, or you may not be able to find someone better. And so you'd rather just stick with what you have rather than test out the market and see what's out there. And I get it. The fear of the unknown, of the possibility of remaining single forever is very daunting. It is scary. I'm not going to say it isn't. But if you're going to play it safe, you run the risk of being very miserable. Like I said, the story of the guy in the Wilcho's parking lot, I don't even know if Buddy's still doing that. He might be. And I met his wife. She's not nice. And that's the crazy part is like these women have no appreciation for these guys. They go out with these guys and they have a lot to offer in terms of capital. They're good guys, good men, nice men, hardworking men. And these women don't appreciate anything. They don't appreciate anything that these guys bring to the table. And if anything, they treat them like dirt. And my best guess, I speculate that a lot of times what happens is a lot of these girls are insecure. So what they do is they offload that insecurity on you so that you never recognize your value, right? So you're never aware of how much you can actually provide for someone. And the thing is, if they keep you down there, then you're never aware of what you're capable of getting, Because I remember one time I dated this girl and she was a monster. I mean, she was like mean to me. And I think to myself, like now, like, wow, I would never tolerate that kind of nonsense from anyone now. So you need to go through those growing pains sometimes to figure it out. But like I said, you do that dating, right? You figure out what you like, what you don't like. You look for the indicators, right, of what you're interested in. Look for those things, right? What you don't like, the non-negotiables. And it's a lot easier from there, right, to figure out, okay, this person's not for me, this person is. It sometimes takes a few seconds, right? Once you get really good at it, you can pinpoint what you don't like. And then you just weed these girls out. And you don't even waste the time even going on dates. Or worse, And so these are just the reminders, like choosing the person that you end up ultimately marrying and then having children with is one of the most important decisions that you make because it's such a huge investment, right? And if you make the wrong investment, you run the risk of ruining your life permanently sometimes, unfortunately, or you just end up very miserable. And I see a lot of these guys, and when you hear a lot of older gentlemen especially say, oh, well, don't get married, don't get married. It's like, well, why are you saying that? The only reason that someone could say that is if the situation they're in is not optimal, right? Based on their experience, they're having a hard time. They've made the wrong decision in terms of who they chose to marry. And now they're thrusting that bad decision upon you. I don't think you should fall for that trap. I think you should go into any situation in good faith. And so a lot of times when you deal with a lot of these old cats that didn't necessarily make the best decision, it may influence you to think maybe they're on to something. Maybe marriage isn't the right idea. Maybe I should just remain single. Maybe I should go my own way or be a passport bro or, just be a single guy, forever. And like I said, I've thought about many of those things. I thought at one point that I was going to be single forever. Maybe not single in the sense that like I wouldn't be able to get women, but that I was unsure that I was going to find a life partner or someone to marry, primarily because I just felt frustrated with what the market was supplying. Very disappointed with the quality, and frankly, just the idea that I just felt like most of the women were just low quality in general. Just the average girl was just not up to par, and so it was very difficult because you have to just to get to the point where you get a little exhausted trying to weed these girls out. And so a lot of times the optics don't always seem what they are, right? So it takes a while to kind of get through it and figure out, okay, what is this? What kind of girl is this, And obviously, like I said, I'm better at it now because of the experiences that I've gone through. But if you're young and you're barely getting into the game now, it is a little difficult to figure out and sift through the chaos, the nonsense, the noise, and figure out what it is that you're looking for. But I can tell you this, whatever your foundations are, they have to align to that, right? So if the girls that you like physically, if you're attracted to them, but they don't have what you're looking for in terms of values, then you need to understand, you need to be able to separate the two. And like I said, I'm all for the short term. Go ahead, have a little fun, but don't make the mistake of turning that into a long term situation, because you will have long term heartache, pain, discomfort, annoyances. Okay, so it's something to consider. All right, so just think about it. Who you marry ultimately and have children with is one of the biggest decisions you can make. So take it very serious, okay? You don't want to be doing or end up in a situation where you're going to regret later on. So really take your time, figure out who you are, figure out what you want, figure out what you're looking for, and that should hopefully allow you to make the best decision in terms of a life partner, someone you decide to marry. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.